Valley CI and Association Help Now, covering a whole bunch of different states. I'm not going to go through them because you know where you're from if you're viewing, I assume. Before I have our panel, we're going to talk large scale stuff. I love these sessions because we have large scale managers on, and we always just kind of start off with them and have a casual conversation. It's very laid back. It's very casual. Audience, I would love if you would send me in comments and questions, please. And I'll remind you about that in a second. Before I go any further, I'm going to launch a poll. If you are here for CEUs, let me find it. Click which one you need. That's all. Everyone has that question feature. If I end up closing the poll before you have time to fill it out, don't worry. Use the question feature and just say, hey, Ray, I need CEUs. But once again, use that question feature. That's how you stay in touch with us today. I don't use people's names. You could ask me whatever you like. Bit of a disclaimer, I could make a mistake. So maybe don't send me anything too top secret. But you don't like Tom's shirt? Send me the comment. I'm fine with it. I'd love to pass it along. Whatever you guys want to comment or question or talk about, use that feature today. It's a much more enjoyable program when you guys participate. And let me close the poll really quick. Okay. If you're here from Florida, you're going to get a link from me because you need to do extra work. Okay. There's another form that you need to fill out. Everybody's information is downloadable. If you don't know how to download it and you want information on somebody, just send me an email or contact me and I'll send you the packet. Everybody's information from the whole week is on there. Finally, with that all being said, let's introduce our panel with who I see first, and that is April.
I'm introducing myself.
You are.
So yes, my name's April Lips. I'm the community manager for Crowfield Plantation in Goose Creek, South Carolina. We have approximately 4,000 properties is what we manage.
Only 4,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Melissa, this is the first time I'm meeting you. So thank you so much for just kind of coming on based on Tom's recommendation. You have no idea probably what's really going on, I guess. But you're obviously a very brave person. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I have been a large scale manager for just under 3 months now, and a community association manager for almost 20 years. And we manage approximately 1,800 homes with about 6,000 residents.
So let's make sure that we get a little bit of insight from you on what you find to be the differences. So if I forget, someone remind me. Okay, that would be great. Michelle.
Hi there, my name is Michelle Baldry. I'm with Reserve Advisors. We're a national reserve study company and prepare reserve studies for small 3-unit kind of condominiums all the way up to very large scale communities and sometimes even small towns.
We have a lot of short Q&A Michelle videos. If you want to watch like 2 hours, 3 hours of Michelle videos, let me know and I will send you the link for them. Dave.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dave Byrne. I'm the chairperson of my law firm's community associations practice, representing homeowners associations, co-ops, and condos in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania.
Now, the reason I don't have 1,000 lawyers on here like I do the other live streams is because we're not looking to cover every legal aspect. We want to have one lawyer who could just give us some broad strokes, but I really want this to be more about the large scale managers today. Next I see Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom England. I'm with First Citizens Bank, cover multiple states. We're throughout the country. Instructor, teacher, just hang out with Ray as much as I can.
And Tom has been a manager, and Tom actually has his PhD related to this field, related to burnout. He's got a very, very impressive bunch of designations. He's a terrible driver, I will say that much, but he's got a lot of designations. That he knows, this industry. Stephanie.
Hey, I'm Stephanie Harmon. I'm with First Service Residential. I'm in New Jersey. I currently manage a property of 1,274 homes in Monroe Township. During the course of my career, I've only done large scale properties, and I absolutely love it. I'm super excited to be here today.
Now, my mother-in-law lives in Stephanie's community and loves Stephanie, loves her. Can't go on and on and on and on and on. And actually, I met Stephanie because I was doing a tour, and I was so impressed by how clean her clubhouse is. I know that sounds silly, Michelle, but I go visit a lot of clubhouses, and I mean, this place was clean. And Stephanie will talk about how big her place is, and I was just so impressed how clean it was that I had to contact Stephanie, and we have a lot of videos with Stephanie also. So awesome, awesome job. Dawn, this is like I was saying before we went live, hour number 3 for us in 2 days.
Yeah. Yes, we've been busy this week and today. Thank you, everybody. My name is Dawn Becker-Durnan. I'm a Community Insurance Risk Management Specialist, or CIRMS designation, and I currently serve on the South Carolina Board of Directors for CAI South Carolina. However, I've been involved intimately with community associations and providing insurance on behalf of community associations, including large scale as well as high rise and all sorts of types, for more than 25 years. And we are a national company.
Okay, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to keep everybody on, and we'll see how it goes, and just try to concentrate on the managers. There's a lot of little videos if you're interested. Like, as a matter of fact, Stephanie's blocked, but Stephanie did all these little videos with me, and I think they're absolutely terrific. And there's Michelle and there's Dave. And if you're interested in them, just use the question feature and send me a quick note, and I'll send you a bunch of links where you could find them. Dave Byrne, there's about 1 million interviews with Dave. Tom, I think just about everybody on here, except I haven't done any with April or Melissa yet, correct? All right, so we'll have to change that. I'm going to change the schedule up. I'm not going to go this route. I do have some, I call it mail because I like to say it's mail. Nobody sends any mail anymore. It's all emails, but we'll come back to that later. Dave, can you remind me about it? Like a quarter of, so I don't forget. So we get to it. It's a large scale manager sent it in. I don't want to start off with it. I was going to let the audience pick what they wanted to start off with. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. I'm going to ask the large scale managers a few of these items today, but I want to let the audience pick with what they want to talk about first. And you guys want to talk about something that they consider a win that they're proud of, something that was an unexpected challenge, anything that was confusing, and any area of something they found confusing. What was their last emergency, or were there any staff issues? So it's kind of like flying around, and it looks like it's going to be everything except something that you're proud of. So I guess we'll just start off, and we'll just go number, Dave, I'll leave it up to you to remember. 2, 5, 3, and 4. Okay, awesome. Let me share I'll close this. So Dave, what was the first one already? We're going to start with, what was it? 2.
Tom, 2.
Okay, number 2. Unique. Now, audience, the managers have had no warning. So managers, maybe you can't think of anything. That's okay if you can't. Don't worry about it. We're completely putting you on the spot here. It's not a question show here, a game show. So, but I'm going to start with April. April, what has been a unique, unexpected challenge you have found in your career? And if you need a little bit more time to think about it, there's no problem.
I guess the only thing I would say in my profession is I've never been used to so many people getting sometimes upset with being maybe sent a letter from our compliance department, yet they chose to live in a community that has covenants and restrictions. And sometimes they can be so nasty about it, it surprises me, but there are rules in place and we're here to enforce the rules. So that's probably the biggest challenge that I've had. And I've been doing this now for almost 13 years now. It's not that big anymore, but that was a big challenge.
What was the challenging part? How to communicate with people that are angry?
How to get them to understand that these are the rules in place and that's why we have them. It's to protect our property values. This is why we have the rules we have.
You would think they could understand that pretty easily when they go out there, how it works. Melissa, how about yourself? How about a unique, or maybe it's the same one as April. What's been a unique, unexpected challenge that you've run into?
Well, being that I've only been a large scale manager for about 90 days, I'm coming up with a lot of different hurdles, stepping into somebody's place that had been here for 18 years. A lot of things were done certain ways. So there's been a lot of unique challenges that I'm working on, just trying to better understand the community. So right now I'm still kind of getting a feel.
The person who you're filling the shoes for, did everyone like the person, or did they hate him and they were glad that they left?
It sounds like both.
A little bit of
Little
both.
bit
Okay. Because
Yeah.
it would be easier. Sometimes it's hard, right? Have you found out it's difficult? And managers, this is very common in the industry, I assume, for you to take over for other managers who were very much loved by the community. And Melissa, you're finding a little bit of both.
A little bit of both, yes.
And the items that you're finding you have to change, do you have to change them because they need to be changed, or because you're you and they were them? And what kind of support? I don't want to put you on the spot with the board. What kind of support are you getting from the community? How's it going?
It's going wonderful. The property here has been running the same for many years. So one of the things that I've been tasked with by the board is to get us updated in our softwares and our technology. So that's definitely a, challenge trying to get all of that. But everybody has been super supportive, whether it's the staff or the board of directors.
When I hear you tell me that, I give you credit. I do, because I don't know if the panel agrees, but if things are going really well, you play a big role in that and your ability to communicate with people. Do you agree that you deserve some credit yourself?
Sure, absolutely.
Managers are, Michelle, managers are so hard to take credit. They're always inclined to give the board credit. It's just like an automatic, like, given, or committees. Have you also seen that, Michelle, in the industry?
I see. Yeah, I think that's just different personality types, right? I would say, yeah, I think managers do appreciate when they have this great involved board and committees that actively contribute to the success. Everyone's working together. But there are certainly managers that really have led by example. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess.
You know what's great about Michelle? Like, when she doesn't agree with me, she's so good at it, right, Dawn? You've noticed it, right? She goes about it. Like Dave and Tom and Dawn, they're just like, we don't agree with you, Ray. You're wrong. But Michelle's so nice and pleasant about it. Okay.
I was always under the impression that if everything went right, the board took credit. When everything went wrong, they blamed the manager.
Agreed.
Wow, Tom, that's spoken like somebody that definitely knows what they're talking about. Dave, Eddie, what do you think about managers? What do you think would be a manager unique, unexpected challenge that you found from a legal aspect? What has a new manager called you about? Maybe you don't have anything.
I have to think about it, but I think a legal challenge is often for a new manager understanding the discoverability of everything they say and do, the fact that there's arguably really no confidential information for an association. Boards and some managers have this idea that there's somehow like the CIA, and there's some group of some certain information that can't be shared with people. It just doesn't work that way. So everything you create, everything you say is potentially discoverable, going to be known by somebody down the road.
Tom, I'm going to skip you because your words were so great already that was awesome. Unless do you have something in particular that jumped into mind before I go to Stephanie?
No, I mean, I agree with Dave, but I think it's to learn the nuances and the documents, because they probably have a certain parameter they have to follow compared to what they previously had.
All right. And Dawn, when I get to you, I'm looking for unique, unexpected challenges. It better not be related to insurance. Okay? Don't even try to tell me insurance. That's going to be hard for you. Stephanie, well, Dawn's struggling in her mind. I don't think she's going to be able to do it, to be honest with you. We'll see.
I have faith in Dawn.
Stephanie, Stephanie, how about yourself? What was a unique, unexpected challenge that jumps
So,
out?
in the 55 plus active adult world, every day could be an unexpected and unique kind of challenge or day, right? But because of the age groups that sometimes you have a 30-year spread where you have 55 up to 85, trying to get everybody on the same page. And as Melissa was stating, with technology and moving more and more towards technology, the younger members of the community get it a lot faster than those that may be a little bit older. So that is not something I expected in this day and age, but it seems to get more and more prevalent as we try to move through technology.
And I'm looking at the comments from the audience, by the way, when I'm looking away. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned age because someone had asked me. April, really quick, what are the age range of your community? Is everybody like 1,000 years old, or is it a mixed?
No, it's a huge mix. We go from very young single people clear up to retired. Yes, we have the huge mix.
Melissa?
Same here, huge mix.
Stephanie, I know you have a huge mix, right?
Yeah, but in that 55 plus, so 55 to about 85, 90.
Do any of the managers want to come forward and tell me which group is the biggest pain in the neck? Don't do it. Okay, don't bother. Not worth getting yourself in trouble. Okay. Dawn, that being said, I've never challenged you like this with a non-insurance related question. What do you think would be a unique, unexpected challenge? And if you can't do it, it's fine.
I think unique and unexpected challenges is probably, I don't know if it's unique or unexpected, but I always find that lifestyle coordination in a community is unique as to the activities and planning, because we don't see that in a lot of smaller homeowners associations or condos. So I would say the unique aspect is, and challenging, is to plan and to find activities that will encompass a wide breadth of different types of people and different types of interests, but aligning them all so that they can have an event that's very successful and really draws the community in. That is what I think is challenging, bringing the community together for those type of things. Did I do it all right?
I got to admit, everyone, that's a home run, right? I mean, that's just like, I should have known better. I should never challenge Dawn with anything related to this industry. April, now I'm curious, do you have a lot of different activities at your place, or you charge a lot of lifestyle committees?
We don't have a lifestyle committee. We do have an event coordinator, so we do try to have some sort of special event every month, something, whether it's a drive or it's an actual event, we do something almost every month.
What's the most you'll get?
People that come?
Yeah.
I would say probably about 1,000.
Okay, I find that Michelle's shocked too. Okay. Melissa.
We have a rec committee that does several events here. We just did over the weekend a poker run that I don't know how many people were here, but the funds that were won were pretty extensive. I think the first place winner won about $3,000. So.
About how many people did you have? Hundreds or less than 100?
At least hundreds. Yeah, because they were by boat, so it was hard to tell, how many people were here because they weren't always on land.
Stephanie, I have witnessed you setting up for an event, and I thought for sure you were going to have the most. Why don't you tell how large your events are?
So our theater style events, we get about 450 individuals, and because that doesn't accommodate the community, we started doing 2 show times or 2 event times for everything. Interesting question. We just kicked off Labor Day weekend last Friday with a free hot dog event. So as we know, free, everybody comes out. So we cooked a little over 1,000 hot dogs. And so we had just about that many in and out of homeowners only. So yeah, it's interesting. The crowds can get big when you're doing something that they really like.
Michelle, were you shocked? I know it's not a reserve question, but were you were shocked by the numbers? Because when I went to visit with Stephanie, my mother-in-law gave me a tour at the clubhouse, like I said, and they were setting up for an event. I think they had seating for 500. They were setting up. Now, remember, they're getting a lot of unique requests also. This is a bit of explain what I'm getting at here, Stephanie. It's not just like everybody just comes in and grabs a seat, right?
No, it's online ticketing. So they purchase all their tickets online. That particular night was a show, a specific show. I'm not sure which one it was. But we bring in different groups, tribute bands, different things like that, on top of what the clubs are doing. That particular day that I think Ray was here, but we also had a pickleball tournament going on. The pool was crowded as well because it was 4th of July, I think, when you were around. So it was really a lot of facilities management that had to get into place there as well.
Michelle, you were surprised like I was, I guess, a little bit, right? Because I was shocked when I saw how many people they were accommodating at Stephanie's place.
Yeah, that's incredible. 1,000 people. I mean, I can't get 1,000 hot dogs out of my head. I don't know where you would keep 1,000 hot dogs, how you would cook 1,000 hot dogs.
You
But
can't wash
super
1,000 hot
impressive.
dogs off you either, Michelle. You can't get 1,000 hot dogs off you until like later. So
But Stephanie's being kind, and so is April. This is not an easy crowd to accommodate too. They have a lot of special requests, and they have a lot of legitimate handicap requests. Would you agree, April?
Handicapped requests at our events or just in
Yes.
general?
And
At our
well,
events?
it's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. I mean, ours, the large one is outside, so I don't
Okay.
really have any trouble with handicapped accessibility. Do we have handicapped porta pots that are brought in? Yes, to accommodate them. And other than that, we don't really have a lot we have to do. They can still get around in our park and everything without a problem.
Stephanie, you had a lot though, I noticed, right? You have a lot of particular requests you have to make sure you handle properly.
yeah, between handicap and what we do for that is we do open the doors a half an hour early for those individuals that may need some assistance walking. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing is probably food requests, because there's a lot of dietary constraints as the homeowners get a little bit older. So what's gluten-free, what's dairy-free, what's sugar-free, what's this free, that free. So that becomes an issue as well, trying to manage an event with food where everybody can eat, everybody can participate, and nobody feels left out.
Stephanie, Tom does a burnout class around the country. Tom would love to have 1,000 people. He's available right now. If you asked him, he would jump all over it. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Excellent. Dawn, anything you want to add quickly? Because I don't want these to turn into big segments about, insurance and things like that. But when you hear big events, what are you thinking about insurance? Give me one item.
I'm thinking about the crowd. I'm thinking about the people, not knowing the facility, not following rules, and the trips, slips, falls, alcohol consumption, just general complaints that, they were injured in some capacity.
What are you thinking, Dave? Anything jump out from you from the legal aspect?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about reserves?
Contracts, Dave. What about all the contracts for all those different vendors? Some of my large scale have different contracts depending upon the type of event, because that's different than, let's say, construction work.
You mean
Dawn's
like
on
what?
fire.
You mean like preparing their own contracts and those kinds of things? Sure. I mean, again, it goes without saying. I figured that was sort of self-evident, but off the top of the, but it makes sense.
Dawn, we may have to do another hour, just you and I. You're on fire. Michelle, anything with reserves come to your mind? Any tie-in whatsoever? I can't think. Oh, you can think of one. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so like for the shows and stuff like that, if they're producing, depending on the size of like 1,000 people, super impressive. They probably have some pretty substantial like visual equipment that they likely own. Maybe so commercial kitchens sometimes if they have restaurants in their clubhouses or so yeah, most of them will have some sort of effect on the inclusion in the reserve study and reserve funding.
It's amazing, April, how our professionals could always think of something. Really quick before I move on, April, do you have any of those concerns? Contracts, commercial kitchens? Do you put reserves tied to your large events, or it's not necessary in your case?
We don't use reserves for our events. Is that what you're asking?
Okay.
We use
No,
our
for the
reserves
equipment.
properly. for the, oh, yeah, we don't do the kitchens and stuff. If I have food, I have food trucks, so we can avoid that. We have our vendors sign waivers when they actually come out here and set up tents in our park to sell product or whatever. Our big event has over 100 show cars, so we do have them sign waivers when they bring their cars on site and they have to leave them off, that type of thing.
Melissa, you're brand new. I don't even know if you've dove into your reserves yet, but do you have any reserve items that are related to large events?
Not that I can think of. We're actually getting a reserve study done. The association had been doing their own for quite some time, so I'll know a little bit more soon.
I don't want to dive deep into it, but they've been doing their own reserve study.
Yes, they
In-house?
have an asset list and they have calculations in there for inflation, how long the items should last. Similar
Alright.
to it, but kind of on their own.
I'm just going to say, like, nobody would probably think that's a good idea, but I'll just say it.
Mm.
Anyway,
It happens frequently.
Does
I
it?
come across it frequently.
Michelle's too nice and not self-serving enough to say that it's not a good idea, but I'll say that.
We
it's not
just signed a
good.
contract and we're getting one done. So that was
Good.
one of my.
I'm happy that you guys are using a professional because it makes a
Yeah.
huge difference, in my opinion. Stephanie, you must have so much stuff related to your events that are reserve related, I would assume, right? Because I never thought about it until Michelle mentioned it.
So for instance, the hot dog function we just did, that's a parking lot party. So actually, I mean, we walk that parking lot from one end to the other, every little spot, every little this, to make sure that we can have it there and that it's safe. So it's both an insurance as well as a reserve item. And if we know that we're planning something on an annual basis and we see something happen over the winter, we'll make sure we get that fixed out of the reserves prior to planning anything in the spring and summer outside, right? But because I also have a commercial kitchen, all of the indoor events, yes, we are. And as you mentioned, I actually have to replace a piece of equipment before October 9th because we're having a function where I need a convection oven and mine just broke. So that's in my reserve study so that I can replace that.
That's why I could never do a reserve study, Michelle. I would have never thought about that. I'm so impressed you came up with it. All right, Tom, anything to add before we go to the next one?
No, I mean, I'm just flabbergasted everything that they do. I mean, security, administrative. I mean, the list would go on. I would think a big issue would be crashers. How many people would try to piggyback off the homeowners that live there to get a free event?
Don't get me sidetracked today, Tom. But now I'm stuck because now everybody wants to know. All right, really quick, April, do you have problems with crashers?
We allow our event to be open to the public, so anybody can
Okay.
come. So yes, you would have crashers.
Melissa, do you have any problem with crashers?
Not that I'm aware of. We have amenities passes that we check. So if we need to make sure.
Stephanie, do you have any problem with people crashing your events?
No.
Tom, this is very suspicious. I'm going to send your photo to all these managers because all of a sudden, I think I know your angle. All right, Dave, did you want to add something before I cut you? All right, what was the next item on the list, Dave?
4 or 5? No, 5.
You don't even have a pen, do you? So you can't even write anything outside.
No, just 2, 4, and 5. I thought.
All right, what was number 5?
I don't remember
Tom.
that. Tom knows.
Oh, staff. Okay. Number 5 was staff. Oh boy, this one seems complicated. I'm even going to start with Dawn. Dawn, really short. This seems like this is probably the biggest pain in the neck for large scale managers managing staff.
Absolutely. So it's all different types of staff. We have admin, we can have maintenance, we can have kitchen, we can have, you name it. Sports, equipment, tennis pros. Staff is very unique. It's the tax and accounting aspect. There's also the benefits aspect, insurance, of course. There's injuries. There's complaints. There's also verifications, motor vehicle reports that need to be run, background checks. It can be pretty exhausting. And then, of course, there's always the situation that when you hire someone, now you're exposing the community to other laws, such as employment-related type laws, and also discrimination aspects that are going to apply that normally don't in a volunteer situation.
Really quick, the audience is asking me, 2 people. What is your staff count if you feel comfortable sharing it? Stephanie, ballpark.
11.
11? April.
11.
15, not seasonal.
Melissa.
20.
Tom, how many personal servants do you have in your home at this point? Okay.
I lost count.
All right. Back to Stephanie. How much of your time, give us some advice related to staff. And Stephanie, how much of your time is spent dealing with staff?
I would say up to a quarter of my day is probably spent with staff. We try to avoid a lot of that by having a team meeting every morning at 10:30 so that we're all on the same page for the day. And well, I'm sorry, what was the other part of the question?
I think how much of your time was spent dealing with staff issues?
With staff, I don't actually have a lot of staff issues. My team is very happy. They've all
Okay.
been here for quite a period of time.
April, people just take a lot of time though because they're people though, right? Because
Well,
we're human beings.
Well, I'm a believer in an open door policy with my staff. So if there's ever a question, I don't want them ever to feel like they can't come talk to me and ask me questions. And instead of just answering it, I always try to go into the why we do what we do and help them understand. And that gets them very well trained where we're all on the same page. And that also keeps the public from thinking, well, I don't like what the employee said, so now I'm going to call the manager and then I'm involved in everything. So I try to keep it where everybody's very well trained. And if it comes to me, they're going to get the same answer they got from my staff.
Now, Melissa, in your case, it's a little new. I don't want to put you on the spot. It's hard taking over for someone, right? And you have staff. I bet we all know that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's definitely not easy.
and that's a big learning curve. Would you agree? It takes quite a while to get into a groove.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that I'm not nearly there yet.
Right. Would you say that's one of your biggest challenges in hindsight now is learning staff and people's responsibilities?
Absolutely. Yes, I would
Okay.
wholeheartedly agree with that.
And I got some questions I'm going to hit here in a second. Michelle, I know that you are a principal of the company and you're in charge of things, so you have to deal with a lot of staff problems. I heard that Reserve Advisors is the most fun place to work in the entire country. I heard it's nothing but parties and margaritas all day. Is that true, or are you denying it? Because engineers
that's
are a lot of.
absolutely true. That's why my door's shut. They're just having quite the fiesta out there. Margaritas all day.
Engineers are party animals, I heard.
That's right.
Any questions with staff or any? There's no reserve aspect to staff, right?
No, we like to meet with the staff because they'll usually know their specifics, like areas, like lifestyle coordinators and things like that. They'll know the specifics associated with their various departments.
If a community is growing though, and they're building more and more neighborhoods, why isn't staff put into the reserve study? Because that's a future expense, right?
Operating.
It is put in or it's not?
Well, no, not in a reserve study because that would be an operational cost.
Okay.
Salary is operational.
Okay, excellent. Before I go to Dave, Tom, you deal with burnout. The more, and I don't want to get too diverted here, Tom, time-wise, but the more staff, is burnout more of a problem, or do smaller companies have less of? Oh, you already know. What's the answer?
Yeah, it's a larger problem. I mean, more people, more stress. The properties are. I mean, larger property, larger staff, right? So it's an issue.
Okay, Dave, I'm going to give you another chance. Dawn bailed you out last time. Staff and legal issues.
I think it's an interesting question I always have, especially for these types of communities, is whether or not the employees are the employee of the managing agent or whether they're the employee of the actual association. From a legal standpoint, I'd prefer the former, not the latter. I mean, there may be arguments in both cases, but to me, as counsel to the actual client, which is the association, I would think it's best to outsource as much as you can, especially employees. I think they should be management company employees. I don't think board members that are in the business of should be in the business of hiring and firing and admonishing bad employees and providing performance reviews and having to have meetings with members of the opposite gender with 3 people in the same room, and conference rooms with no curtains, and the whole dynamic that goes along with modern employment is the kind of thing that I think should be incorporated as part of an overall professional management company operation. And I gather that many of the large, solid, good ones, like First Service, for instance, they'd offer, they sort of market that as part of why you would hire them to begin with.
Okay. Don't use company names because you know I hate that.
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's
sorry.
okay. That's
So I
all
just
right.
happened to look on my right, and Stephanie was sitting there, so
I know.
I couldn't
that's fine.
resist.
Dawn, this is actually a really good topic, really quick to go through, but I don't want to get sidetracked on a whole topic, please. But insurance companies, you love them using third party for staff also,
Yeah,
right?
we love anytime you transfer risk. So if you're going to have an employee that is employed by another company, not the association, you're transferring the risk typically to a management company. But if you're self-managed or sometimes professional, you want to keep employees you've had long-term, not of the management company, you don't want to transfer them to the management company, well, you're taking on those risks. And as I said before, there's tax implications.
Right.
There's also
Yep.
laws and all sorts of things. I think
Okay.
that most communities that I do find will have the management company providing the staff.
April, I knew the lawyers and the insurance people are going to say they want to use a management company. And actually, I see the logic in it. But the truth is that a lot of boards and the owners in particular are so against the idea, right? I will tell you right now, in my personal experience, I like having a management company. That being said, April, what is the vibe that you get do you have, if you don't want to answer, by all means, don't answer. I don't ever want to put you guys on the spot, but do you have your own staff or do you use an outside service? And I don't want to use the name if you do. And what do you find the reaction is from the community? Because I find a lot of times the community do not want to give up that control.
Well, we're self-managed, so we are not a management company. And the way we are set up is that the board of directors, we're all employed by the association, but I am the first chain below the board. So the board, in a sense, hires me. They put me in charge of hiring the employees and doing the evaluations and all of that. Our community, I think, in most cases, likes that better from experiences we've had in the past, sorry to say. So we have worked very well that way. We've had a lot of managers come and go, no consistency. And I think the biggest problem I found when I came on here is the fact that the consistency wasn't there. So that's hard for homeowners when the rule is like constantly changing based on somebody's opinion. So that's what we're trying to do. So.
Melissa, do you want me to give you a pass on this one? Because you're like brand new and I don't know, do you want to comment on it or you want to pass on this one? Because you're still feeling
I'm
things
going to
out.
pass on this one because I am fairly new. So
yeah, I was going to give you a pass on that one. Stephanie, you work for a large company, and I see it both ways, and I find a lot of people don't understand it either way. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Does anybody on the panel also disagree? A lot of it depends on who the manager is. You could, Dawn, you're nodding your head. Why don't you take it from there? I mean, I see self-managed that run great and everybody loves them. Mm-hmm. Managed that run great, but also if the manager's no good, it just
like any company.
Yeah.
Who you have there as that front person in representation of the association should be your best qualified person. So, and I think any manager, and whether they're a self-managed community or they're working with a professional management company, education is really important. The more educated that the manager is, the better that they're going to help that association govern and reduce their risk, reduce their costs, contain costs. And there's just, I see such a variety, and I got to tell you, having a professional and often credentialed manager is night and day.
So, question from the audience: how do you maintain a balance between assisting homeowners who come in your office and doing the actual work that needs to be done, emails, etc.? With 1,100 homes, there are days where we have nothing but a revolving door. So, April, I'm going to start with you because when you said you had an open door policy, I don't know. I kind of had mixed feelings about it a little bit. Sometimes you need to close the door, but how do you manage it?
I mean, I have a staff. So like I said, if they're well trained, they, they address the people. I have what I call my gatekeepers, my front desk people that address the people when they come in, find out who they need to talk to. They go to the next person in the department they need. I'm the last line that somebody comes to. So, basically it's if they don't like what an employee says, then they come to me, the home, so we start there. That helps keep it from all coming here. The open door policy is for my staff to come talk to me. And that's the way we, I guess you could say that's part of, in a sense, the training is to let them know that they're free to come talk to me. I don't want them to think they can't. So, and I don't have much trouble with talking to my homeowners and then doing the projects. Again, it's a team. It's a team effort here. I mean, obviously I can't do everything. I have to have employees. So, and they all help out.
I'm so glad I asked you because I made a bad assumption. When you said open door, I imagined that your door was open all the time. But like you said, you have a structure set in place, so that works really well. Melissa, boy, you're kind of on the spot here because you have a new system going on there. You want to touch upon this one a little bit also, or are you still getting it? Go ahead.
So we're set up similar to April, where I'm the community and business director, and we have staff out in the front that handle 99% of the correspondence from whether they come in or by phone. So that has made it very easy. But to somebody's comment earlier, we're all trained, so they're not going to get a different answer from a different person. So most of the homeowners know, okay, what the information that they're getting from the front, the ladies and the front staff is going to be the same that they would get from myself or my facilities manager.
Stephanie, I am learning of a new topic and I love it because I didn't think about it. It's an open door policy, but it only works when you have procedures in place. It's not open door for everyone. Am I right? Or I think I'm getting it, right?
I think that you said the key word earlier, which was structure, right? And if the community or the community manager or the general manager or, the positions that the ladies are in, you have to develop that structure and you have to maintain it. You can have the structure, but then if I open up my door and say, come on in and talk to me, then I'm taking validity away from my my community manager and my assistant community manager or one of my other staff members. You have to develop that structure. You have to stick to it, and you have to perpetually educate the community on that structure and making sure that you're maintaining it. Because in addition to being maybe a community under construction where there's always new homeowners coming in, the other part of that is people are always moving out. So there's that resale element. So that perpetual education, on a monthly or quarterly basis about what the structure is of the office. You submit a work order online. Don't come to you just have to continue that education and make sure that you're standing strong with it.
Tom, I'm going to give credits to our managers because this sounds like this only works. This doesn't sound like something you learn right away. This sounds like something that you learn through experience. Do you agree with me?
I agree. And just listening to him, I think I came up with the 3 Ps: planning, process, and procedures. That's what they have in place. It seems like they have a rule for everything that they need to follow, and it streamlines it for them.
Did you really just come up with that? I think you've had that in your back pocket for a long
No,
time.
I did. It just popped in my head.
Okay. Michelle, any commentary from what you've seen?
No, it's well said by everybody.
Okay. Dawn already talked about it. Dave, any commentary?
No.
Okay, excellent. Boy, I love the question. Thanks, audience. See what happens when you ask questions? That was a really good one, and I actually learned a lot from that. So thank you so much. What % of workers, and these are all from different people, which I love. What % of workers, non-staff, are subcontracted, lawn repair, maintenance, but still managed by your association employees? I will start with Stephanie on this one.
What percentage? I would have to say almost 100% because we have all contracted services, right? So my company's a third-party vendor. So my landscaping, my pool, my golf company, irrigation. So, but we are responsible to manage those contracts and make sure that the vendor is hitting their key performance or their contractual obligations. So just about they're all outside of that. So I said 11, but I have 11 management company employees, and then I have 5 out at the pool, 6 out on the golf course, but they're all individual contracts, as Dawn was saying, transferring that risk, getting it away from me, and making sure that they're doing their job. So you still have to manage that contract because you're responsible for that for the association and make sure they're getting what's in that contract. That's what they're entitled to.
Dawn, my gut reaction was, especially when Stephanie said you had 11 employees, I didn't think it was enough, right? But I forgot that it's just 11 employees dealing with a multiple array of contractors. I think I overlooked that part, Dawn. Obviously, that would be something that you would not overlook because that's part of your business.
Yeah, when I love budget season. I really do. I know most managers don't. We're in the midst of budget season, but I love to look at the budgets, especially when they're detailed, because it actually helps me look at what risk they have or what's coming up, projects, all that.
Okay.
And I also look at the reserves, and that's a big part of it too, is the reserve funding. Not so much that it's properly funded, but they have a reserve study and what are their goals. And from insurance, what you can insure, you maintain, and that reserve study is so integral. To me, I'm looking at this as a part of the picture.
Okay. April, what about yourself? If you don't mind sharing, you don't have to if you don't want to.
No, it's just, I guess I would say of my budget versus, of course, my staff is not contracted. So of my budget, I would probably guesstimate a little under 50% is contracted. Our landscape is contracted out. Our pool, is contracted out. But I do have maintenance staff that does small maintenance. Anything large maintenance wise, I would contract out. And sometimes that's paid for out of reserves, depending on what we're doing to the asset.
Okay. Melissa, do you mind, have you gotten to this point yet? How much of your staff is contracted out?
So we are fully in-house with our security, our maintenance, and our office staff. Larger projects, kind of as April mentioned, reserve projects are contracted out. So we handle a lot of the maintenance items, landscaping, lake maintenance here, and then road repavements, anything like that would be a contracted item.
Michelle, when Dawn was saying reserves, I thought she was just throwing reserves in there because she's really considerate to the other panelists, but every manager mentioned reserves. So I guess reserves is a big part of this then, correct?
Yeah, I mean, who does the work does play into it, right? So some of these projects, we'll just use repaving. We know almost always that's done externally, but some projects like we could even use if it's replacing a clubhouse deck or something like that. We did, in the replacement cost, we assume that you're hiring a company to do it, but if they're doing it in-house, it will, some of that cost is in operating instead of reserve, so it does need to be reflected in the reserve study or accounted for. It is a little dicey though, because that's where people look, if they decide to do something third party, the thought was initially do it internal, then they do it third party, and they're like, we can't do it for this cost is way off. So it is certainly a discussion, and you need to align on it and make sure that it's really clearly stated who's going to do the work.
Tom, I feel like we could do a whole live stream too on how April, Melissa, and Stephanie manage. They're still responsible for all the contracts and everything that their employees are dealing with. All of a sudden, this job is starting to seem harder and harder to me as we're along here.
They're managing a small city when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, one thing I always ask, and I don't want to get sidetracked, is I always wonder who gets the hardest rep, high-rise managers or large scale. Sometimes I feel like people think, oh, high-rises are so much harder to run than large scale. But, just for the heck of it, I think I'll go through the panel and ask them if they want to answer. But anyway, Dave, any legal aspects so far? You don't have to. If you don't have anything, you don't. I mean, we don't have a lot of legal stuff these days.
No, I don't think so. No.
That's why I always appreciate you being here, because we always don't have a lot of legal stuff. Really quick, I can't help myself. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Stephanie, what's harder, high rise or large scale?
Yeah.
You don't want to answer? You don't have to.
I think that it's going to be large scale because it's large scale. I'm just going to say it that way. Large
Melissa,
scale.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would have to say high rise.
April.
Well, I'm not going to be a tiebreaker because I've never managed a condo or a high rise, so I can't answer that one.
I don't think Michelle and Dawn and Dave are going to want to answer for some reason, but I'll ask you guys anyway. And if you go ahead, Dave.
I think this is the politically correct answer, which would be each presents unique and difficult challenges. The high rise presents the physical plant unit related, like day-to-day type maintenance sorts of things, individual owner involvement with leaks and things that may go on with their particular unit that you may not have in or large scale that involves single family homes. You know what I mean? Where traditionally what goes on inside a single family home is the exclusive responsibility of the owner. The high rise presents the unique aspect of individual units on top of each other and people interacting more. The rules are more important. The physical plant's more important. I mean, that's I think got to be very difficult.
I feel like this is one of the poll questions, Dave, where you dive like really deep. Dawn knows what I'm talking about. Like, we have fun poll questions during the other live streams, and Dave Byrne always has like an attorney, 1,000 questions there. Like, if I say, would you rather have 4 arms or 4 legs? Dave's got 1,000 questions for me before I answer.
Yeah, like
Okay.
where am I living?
No, okay, thank you.
Right.
Okay, exactly. See what I have to.
What do I do for a living? That kind of thing.
If everyone could just be
It
as nice
matters.
as Dawn. If everyone was just as nice as Dawn and Michelle. Okay, Michelle, do you want to answer this, or do you want to just stay away from it?
I think he said it really well. The only thing I would add is some of the age complexity too, right? The older, whether it's large scale or a high rise, the older it gets, the more complicated moving pieces there are.
That's a really good point. Yeah, how old it is. I wish
Good
we
point.
thought of that before. Michelle always comes up. Yeah, okay, good one. Dawn, what's harder to insure?
It's a toss-up. I think it's going to depend upon your geographical area. We write a lot of coastal insurance, and April can tell you, I know from experience, that the market cycles can hit coastal communities much harder than they would somebody that's more inland or Midwest, more centrally located. I think it's large scale have, as David and Michelle pointed out, every community has different complexities and different uniqueness, but large scale, in my opinion, has much more going on. And when I say that, it's just a lot of different aspects going on. And when we have a high rise, we have something that's concentrated in one building, of course, but not as many activities typically take place in a high rise that you would see in a large scale. So liability is always a big concern for me. There's a lot more contracts, a lot more goings on that really increase risk.
Okay. And Tom, I want to get off this topic, but I just want to make one statement and ask you what you think. And I think I kind of mean this. I feel like large scale managers are more relaxed than high rise managers. Do you agree with me?
Yep. Oh yeah, because
I don't know why.
The makeup is different.
All right.
People are more relaxed in single family homes and larger areas.
More personality and political juggling in large scale. Somebody from the audience, boy, I don't know if I agree with that. I'm going to let this.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean,
I'm going to let it go away.
The high rise seems to have more day-to-day interaction with actual owners, right?
I'm going to disagree with you, and I know the audience member that sent it in, and I usually agree with you, but I don't know about that one. We'll see. People are a lot closer in high rises. Are subcontractor jobs contract-wise reviewed by the association attorney? I think I'm going to jump off this one because I feel like it's going to take too much time. Maybe this is for another live stream, April. How do you pick and choose what contracts are reviewed by the attorney and which ones aren't? Am I wrong? It's a judgment call, theoretically.
Well, we try to go through a qualification process. And if we find a good contractor that does the work well, then we'll let them do the job for a while. And then every so often we'll come up with a plan of how often we're going to put it out for bid just to get some other prices in. So we don't have to do it that often. We also have kind of a blank contract that the attorney has given us as well that we can use as a template with a contractor that maybe doesn't have one, that just gives you a quote on a piece of paper or something. So.
See how often I'm wrong? Good question, audience member. I thought it was. All right, Melissa, what do you think? I obviously, according to April, there is a plan set in place. They do have guidelines, if that's the right word to use, if that's okay, for what contracts are reviewed and are not. Is that all right, April, that I said that? Okay.
Yeah, like I said, our landscape contract, we don't put out to bid every year. We do that, maybe now that we have a contractor we've used all the time, we give them a 5-year contract. If it's plumbing or something like that, we'll find a good contractor and continue to use them. And then every so often we'll put it out for bid.
But it's not a total judgment call. Like I said, I was wrong. There is a procedures and a history in play, historical thing to fall back on. Melissa,
God.
Hold on. Let me go to Melissa. Let me get to the managers. Melissa, once again, was I wrong? You could just say if you want to say I was wrong, because I think April.
You're talking about in refer to having the attorney review contracts?
Right. You have a lot of contracts. You don't get them all reviewed by the attorney.
I do. Right now, I'm having him review anything that I'm putting my hands on just because I want to make sure that they're correct.
But that's because you're new.
Yes.
Okay. So you'll go to a procedure at some point. Okay. That makes sense. So you're actually agreeing with April. Stephanie, are you going to be the third person that tells me I was wrong on this and it's not a judgment call?
I'm going to tell you you're half right. So, so if I'm renewing with a vendor that we've done the business with, then no, I'm not sending that contract to the attorney because it's a vendor that I'm coming out of a 3-year contract, so I'm not going to send that to the attorney because that's a slight waste of association funds. In my personal opinion. But when I'm doing something like a large scale or reserve type project, those types of things are definitely going to the attorney for review once the vendor has been selected, and to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, because these are well beyond my own personal scope when you're doing reserve type projects or bigger projects. Day-to-day operations, you're kind of knowing what that's all about. Ultimately, though, I still think that if the board wants it to go to the engineer, it goes.
Okay. So Michelle, thanks. Michelle, Dawn, and Tom, and Dave. I'm going to go to you guys real quick because we need to move quick on this one because I want to give the managers closing thoughts. We have 2.5 minutes left. Really quick, Michelle, boy, I bet you have a lot of opinions about this. And from your aspect, it's all about contracts and agreements from an engineering aspect, correct?
So usually we won't require them to track down every project, like contract to review, but we will want an understanding of what was done. But we don't require it, and we're not attorneys, so we don't formally review all the contracts for work done.
But you work on the RFPs.
For the projects, no, not at Reserve Advisors. We only prepare reserve studies.
Okay. Dawn, really quick.
As far as, I don't really have much to add. I think I've kind of said enough, so I want to pass on.
Okay. Tom.
I think everything should be reviewed, followed, and have a procedure in place.
But everything can't be reviewed. It'd be impossible. Like they have procedures in place. This is what I just learned. Okay, Dave.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about in a few seconds, but there are trade-offs. It makes complete sense that every contract not necessarily be looked at by a lawyer. I mean, you've got to make cost-benefit analysis. One thing I think managers do make mistakes with, though, is they focus on sending contracts to lawyers to help them to handle when the value of the work is high. $1 million facade project, $3 million, clubhouse, new roof. Sometimes the small dollar contracts can be important as well. Things that expose you to liability, like you have a consent agreement with on a civil rights case, and you have to improve your front doorway with a ramp or something. that contract is very important, even though it might be $3,500, because if the ramp isn't done correctly, or it doesn't violates codes or something, you might be exposing yourself to another type of civil rights dispute. So the value of the contract isn't always the driving force as to whether or not a lawyer should be involved. Sometimes it's the issue, whether the issue is big, and if it's done poorly, can cause trouble.
I love it. That's another great topic, Dave. It took you years to tell me that, but thank you. That's a really good one. Really quick, we're out of time, but April, closing thoughts, 1 or 2 words. What pops in your mind?
The only thing I would say we've never talked about is I am highly involved in our government agencies, the city and the county. We encompass about 33% of our city.
Ooh, I know. We've spoken about that, you and I, at dinner, I think, a couple times.
Good point.
Lunches.
Good point.
Melissa.
I don't really have anything.
Okay. Stephanie.
Maintain structure.
Oh, I love it. Michelle, any closing words really quick? Thank you so much for being here, Michelle. Dawn, thank you. Will you do another hour later?
Sure.
No, she doesn't mean it.
She's
not even going to pick up the call. If I call her, she's done with me for the week. I'm over limit. Dave, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Thanks everybody for being here. I thought it was awesome. And thanks, large scale managers. Much appreciated. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.